Hi there, welcome to my channel CPA to Be. This is our fourth video in our series How to Pass a Florida Bar Trust Account Audit. Today we're going to put a lot of emphasis on work in progress journal entries, the bills generated for attorney's fees, and the payments from the trust account to the operating account. In addition, we're going to continue seeing how the job ledger, the general ledger, the income statement, and the balance sheet, they also come together with the same balance. We're going to put a lot of emphasis as well in the triple reconciliation, making sure the accounting equation is always in balance. For some of you that might have questions or inquiry as to what am I using or some of my sources in order to come up with these journal entries, I am using this bad boy here, not ChatGPT, DeepSeek, or any of those AI models that I'm not going to say that they're not helpful, but this is old school research and data. Without any further ado, we'll dive in today's video.
As you know, my goal is to help you guys to pass a trust account audit in the event that you confronted. Now, some of the situations that I'm talking about here are going to be real issues or real situations that you also encounter, such as working with past years of accounting history. You would have to reconstruct invoice bills and so on. Now, nowadays law firms use software such as Clio to keep track of the work in progress, billable hours. Nevertheless, when you're working with a trust account audit and you might not have records of Clio, for example, you need to reconstruct those billable hours. So the work in progress asset account is definitely the route to do it. The work in progress asset account is also an accounting control on itself. Why? Because I've seen it very useful to keep good records to match what comes out of the trust account as an attorney's fee and what comes into the operating account. The work in progress asset account, it is the bridge that an auditor would definitely put their eyes on. Why? You have to justify what comes out of the trust account into the operating account with a bill, with an invoice, with some sort of documentation. Otherwise, it would constitute commingling of funds. I have seen resolutions to commingling of funds where the auditor constitute that the funds that came out of the trust account become income to the law firm as part of the resolution of the trust account audit. And of course, this is not a good thing for the firm. So everything that I put here, again, is from my personal experience, and also just to give you an edge to you bookkeepers, so your performance within your team can be an asset for the law firm. Today, we're going to continue with some of the transactions from a past video, and we're going to review new transactions, in particular for the work in progress asset account. The first thing we're going to recall, it is the invoices. And the reason that I'm doing this is because later on in today's video, I will show you all the transactions, how they come together in more details, how the general ledger, income statement, balance sheet, and job ledger looks like once we complete the cycle of the money coming into the trust account, out of the trust account to third-party providers, and also into the operating account. So right in here, we're going to see that we created an initial invoice for $10,000. As I mentioned to you in the invoice, I always put the claim number for the insurance company. Now, we also look at the bills that we actually pay. We pay, in this case, to the claimant, the adjuster, and today we're going to look at what happens with attorneys and the money coming out of the trust account. One of the reasons that I use Sage 50 is because it allows me to have more hands-on in terms of accounting controls. QuickBooks is something more user-friendly, business-friendly, but for the accounting standpoint, it's a little bit rigid, in my opinion, for the case of a law firm.
Now I'm going to continue showing you the timesheet. The reason that I do the timesheet is because I am going to be able to keep track of the work in progress asset account. Now, this is something that I do just because to me, it brings more clarity to the auditor to justify the amount of money that coming out of the trust account into the operating account without having to specify too much. In particular, when you're working with past data information, there's not a lot of records. So by you creating the records, you establish or you helped establish new accounting controls, which is a side effect of this, or at least is a benefit that comes out of the whole audit process. Now, the timesheets, I already created it. I just want to show you the way that I do it here. For example, I'm going to show you it's going to already be linked to an invoice. I select as an employee or a vendor. Right now, I'm using the example of the vendor as the attorney. We're going to use billable hours item. We're going to choose the amount of hours. At this moment, this is irrelevant when you're working with backed up accounting data. if you're working day to day, then it will be beneficial. And then I'm also using a flat rate. The description of the invoice is attorney's fee, and it's also attached a link to the claimant. I do this here so I can create an invoice for the operating side of the law firm, and you will see here now the invoice for the total amount of hours billable. Now we can further go here, and as you can see, the credit is going to be to the alter revenue, as you know, because clearly this is a value that we already know that came into the account. And then we are going to go and see that the other account that I'm affecting here is the 147, which is the work in progress IOTA. So you can see here is the debit, so it increases that account. Now when we make the payment, we're going to take a look here. What do you think is going to happen? We're going to clear the balance in the work in progress. It goes down to 0, and the money comes in. Now this the reason that I created a timesheet first is because it would set the example or the accounting control to do this before you generate the billable or the bill on the trust accounting side. As you can see here, I accumulate and I see that what we are going to deduct from the trust account is going to be the 2,900. So now, as you can see, I come to this side and then I enter the bill. This bill is going to be for the 2,900 check. It's going to be this one here. As you can see, I'm using the invoice number. I'm using the claim number everywhere. That way, I'm able to locate one account to another. Again, this is an accounting control. So now that I know the timesheet, now that I know the work in progress $2,900, now I come here and I create the bill for the $2,900. In here, I do affect the job, I affect count, okay? And then when I make the payment, you can see here that the money leaves the trust account. This is very important to reflect how the money leaves. Now, once the money left the trust account with the invoice that we already have, we then receive the money. And I show you here, the money came in. We look at, and how do we know? We see here again, claim number here. And then the money comes in. It clears the work in progress account, comes into the operating account. This is why only these $2,900 is what is revenue. Now, if you want me to talk about what happens with retainer's fee, you let me know down in the comments if you want me to expand on a video for that, because that works similar but in a different way, because the journal entries are a little bit different about it. Now I'm going to show you by hand once again what happens with the financial statements and how the triple reconciliation comes together. Thank you for sticking with me until the end of the video. As always, if you like it, if you feel that it's anything that brings value to you or anybody that you know, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with colleagues or even your boss if you want to bring any new ideas as to how you can do your job better. If there's anything in this video that didn't make sense to you, remember to click on the link above and it will take you to our first video of this series. Also, if you have any comments, any questions, any ideas that you want me to take into consideration for future videos, do not forget to leave it down in the comments. Until next time, have a great day.